Hello again, this is Jeff Scott, your instructor for the online 152-163 Relational Database Design class for the fall 2015 semester at Blackhawk Technical College. I'm now going to quickly run through the roadmap here that you see on screen, and then we're going to proceed to go through all of the material that's in Chapter 1. I don't know, I'll try to keep this down to about 50 minutes at the most. Maybe it'll take less than that. But if it takes longer, I'll break this up into two more videos. Okay? So we want to create our first table that's going to be called book rep in datasheet view. You'll notice the author calls it book rep, book space rep. I'm going to run them together. Again, you don't have to do that, but in some relational database management systems, you cannot have blank spaces in names. And you can in Access, but it's just bad practice. So we're going to create the book rep table in datasheet view, add records to the table, print the contents, and then import the records in from the second table. So instead of having to type all of them in ourselves, we'll grab them as if somebody had already typed them in for us. Alright, then we'll modify the second table in design view. We'll create a query for the customer table, a form for the customer table, and a report for the customer table. So we'll get all that stuff done. So rather than following these, I'm just going to get on and go back over to here, and I'm going to close this. Now I would strongly suggest, as you're working in here, that you come onto your desktop. I'm already starting to develop a lot of clutter on mine, but I would suggest that you right mouse click, choose new and folder, and create a folder that's called 152-163 and put all your work in there. Remember, I cannot read things from your virtual desktop. So when you get all done with this, you'll right mouse click on that 163 folder, choose copy, click start, computer, go over to your H drive, and then just right mouse click and paste it in. I already have a 163 folder in there, so I'm not going to paste, but just so you know that. We can talk about it again later too. Alright, so I'm going to pretend I don't even have Access open by closing it, and I'm going to click on here on my shortcut, double click, and I'm going to start working on the stuff that's in here. Alright, so let's see, we're told we're going to create a database, and I'm looking here, blank database, and they want us to call this Bavant Publishing. Alright, so I'm going to click blank desktop database. Again, Bavant, even though in the book they have this as two words, I'm going to run them together. And I'm going to also make sure that I click here and choose the desktop. Okay, so it changes, and then click create. So now I have created my database. Notice it automatically thinks I want to put a table in, so it's got a blank table in there that's just called table 1. Alright, now you can create a database like this. They also show you on the bottom of page AC7 how you can create one using a template. I'm not going to run through that. Alright, I don't see the need or the reason for doing that. So looking on figure 1-2 on page 7 in your book, this area that's over here is called the navigation pane. This is called your object tab, where it says table 1. Again, Access automatically created a default table for us. Right now we are in what's called datasheet view. We're going to, in just a minute, right mouse click on here and choose design view, and it'll make us save the table. And when we save the table, we'll save it as, I believe it's book rep. Alright, the database name is shown up on the top here, Bavant Publishing Database, and it shows me the path to it. Here's the button for maximize, minimize. So maximize, minimize, and quit if I want to do that. The status bar is at the bottom of the screen. You may or may not be able to see it. Right now it's showing me that I'm in datasheet view, and here's the button, so I can switch back and forth like this also. So I can click this button to go to design view, and again it'll ask me to save, or I can right mouse click on here and choose design view. Alright. So we're going to call this book rep, B-O-O-K-R-E-P. Again, I'm running the words together. And we're creating the table, so I'm up on page AC10. Alright, now I'm going to create the table exactly the way that it's shown on page AC11. On page AC11, they show what's called, again, either what's called the, or really what they're showing there is what I call the schema. Okay, they call it the structure of the book rep table. So the first thing, they don't want you to call it ID, they want you to call it book rep number. Okay, and they want this, for whatever reason, to be short text. Alright, and they want the field size to be 2, so that's down here. There's a 2, and they want it to be a primary key. It already is. You see the little key there. And they want the description to say unique identifier of book rep. There's also a property down here that's called caption that they want it to say BR with a pound sign. We're going to get to that in a later class, so please don't worry about that right now. Alright. Again, I'm running all these words together. So last name, short text, they want the size to be 15. If you don't change the size like this, that means it can go all the way up to 255 characters. They don't put any caption there, so I guess it's pretty self-evident. First name, short text, again 15. Street, short text, this one is to be 20. City, short text of 20. State, short text of 2, so we're going to use the state abbreviation. Postal code, which we really typically refer to as a zip code, that's a short text of size 5. You'll notice even though that holds numbers, we're making it a short text. And the reason for that, the reason that we're making that a short text, is the only fields you make numeric are either if you use an ID field, one that's called ID that's an auto increment, or a field that you're going to use for arithmetic calculation. So start date, and we want that to be date time. Salary, and we want that to be currency. And then finally, bonus rate. And that will be number. We want that type to be single, so it says long integer now, but if I click the down arrow, there's single. Format, we want it to be fixed with 2 decimal places. So single, fixed, 2 decimal places. Alright. Now they do mention, and they show some stuff in here on pages 12 and 13. Okay, what they say in here is if for some reason we did not set the primary key correctly to begin with, let's just say it wasn't set here. They mention that you can right mouse click on it and choose primary key, or you can click the insignia right there for primary key. Either way will work. All right, and that stuff is shown on page 12. So again, the way that they're showing you how to do this isn't exactly the same way that I'm doing it. You may like the way they show it better or the way I show it better. I'm trying to show it, what I'm most concerned with is that we show you this information in the easiest to understand way possible. And that's what I'm trying to bring across to you. All right, they mentioned on the bottom of page 15, making changes to structure. They say if you make a mistake, there's ways that you can fix it. If you're still in the field and you haven't yet moved off the field, because what Access does is when you're on a field and you move off to the next field, it automatically writes what you're working on. But if you're on a field and you decide you made a mistake and you haven't yet left the field, you can hit the escape key. They show you how to delete fields, etc. I don't want to go through that because right now I think that's going to actually make it more confusing for us and not easier for us. So all the stuff that you see here with book rep number, short text, unique identifier of book rep, last name short text, first name short text, street short text, city short text, state short text, postal code short text, start date, date time, salary currency, and bonus rate number is exactly what you see on the bottom of page AC17 in figure 1-15. So again, this is referred to as the schema. Now, if we decide we want to change a size, let's say we wanted this to be 3 decimal places. Oh, wow, we're not in that field. Then you click to get into the field, and down here you just make the associated change. You can change types, you can do anything. But what you'll learn starting in this chapter, but even more so throughout the rest of the book, is you should always plan your database before creating it. Always think about what it is you want to do before you actually go out and do it. All right. Now they tell you to close the table, but I don't see any reason to do that right now, so I'm just going to save what we have and start entering information in. So I'm going to enter in the 2 book reps that are shown on page AC20 in the book. All right. So I'm going to right mouse click on here, and I guess, yeah, this should work fine. I'm going to go over to datasheet view. Okay. And again, I'm just grabbing the information as it is shown in the book. Now I'm on page, as I mentioned, AC20. All right, so the first one there, we've got BR. That's what we had put in there earlier. BR for, oops, sorry, dropped my mouse. BR that is in there for book rep. So that's BR with a pound sign for book rep number. All right, our first book rep number is going to be 53. Again, this is from page 20. And its last name is Chin. First, whoops, see. 53, hit the tab key. Chin, Robert, 265 Maxwell Street. Gossett, PA for Pennsylvania, 19157. The start date is 6/1/2013. Notice as soon as I put the, well, 6/1/2013. Okay. Salary is $26,250. You notice as soon as I moved off the field, it automatically formatted it for me. The bonus rate is 0.15, which means 15%. All right. So let's put in our second rep. 42. Perez. Melina, and she's at 261 Porter Drive. And that is in Adelphia, PA 19156. Her start date, you'll notice that there is a little calendar thing I can click here, but that's if I was going to use a current date, and I'm not. So I'm going to use the one that's in the book, 5-14-2012. Her salary is $31,500. Oops, not $315,000. And her bonus rate is 20%. All right. So those are the same two records. The same two records that the ones that we put in are the same two that are shown on pages 20, 21, 22, and 23. So I did it all in one swoop, so to speak. You'll notice that the system automatically sets the dollar field and automatically sets the bonus rate field. You'll also notice, for instance, this Maxwell Street, this looks a little bit clunky. In other words, it's running into each other. I could take my mouse, put it here, and drag. I can do that. Or I could take my mouse, and when it becomes a crosshair like this, just double click, and then it makes the field as big as it needs to be. That's a way to resize the fields. So I can do that to all of these if I want to. Some will get bigger, some will get smaller. Okay. All right, it looks as though we're up to page 24, and what they want us to do is close the table, which is fine, except then they tell us to open it again on the bottom of the page, and they're going to have us add a couple more records that are shown on page 26. Now, I realize I'm not doing this exactly in the order in which it's done in the book, because I'm trying to keep these lectures of a decent size. I don't want them to be 8 hours long each, and to be honest with you, I don't have that kind of time. So I'm trying to set them up so that they will be somewhere around 50 minutes in length at a maximum. All right, so I'm going to add the two more records that are shown in the book on page 26. So we've got 65, Rogers, Tracy, 1827 Maple Avenue, Adelphia, PA, (19156). Start date was 7/1/2014. Notice I can put in a 012 if I need to, 2014, and it gets removed. All right, so it'll take leading zeros for either the month or the day or both. And this is $7,750 and 18%. Next, we've got rep number 48. Notice this is the primary key. So if I come through here, this is supposed to be 48, but if I accidentally put 65 in here again, all right, it's already turning yellow, and it's trying to alert me that that I'm making a mistake. But I'm going to keep going anyway. Statnik, Michael, 3135 Simpson Drive, Pleasantburg, New Jersey. Postal code is 07025. Start date is 1/15/2013. Salary is $29,000, and percentage is 20%. So again, you'll notice that this again is too big. Whoop. And it says the changes you made could not be made because it would give you duplicate values in the primary key. So I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to come back to that one, and instead of 45, or 65 rather, I'm going to put in 48. And then I'm going to, again, double click on my street address and my city. There we go. And now notice once I move off, there's no error. So now I've put in all of the records that are shown between pages 20 and about 29 in the book. All right. On page 29, they mention that now, so I'm going to save this. It's always a good idea to right mouse click and choose save on a very regular basis. And you might say, well, Jeff, you told us that Access will save anyway. Yeah, but I don't trust, I'd rather, you'll hear me if you take enough classes from me. I'll talk about the difference between doing things implicitly and doing things explicitly. Implicitly in this case means that the software does it. Explicitly means I did it. All right, and that's what I like to do, is I like to do the things myself. That way if it goes wrong, I know it's because I made a mistake, not the software. So if I click on here and go to File, and I go to Print and Print Preview, it's going to look very similar here, right there, to what you see in Figure 1-36 on the bottom of page 29 in the book. All right. Theirs is in order by BR number. Ours isn't. That's not a big thing. We could change ours if we needed to. All right. But you see all the information that's in there. And you go, wait a minute, Jeff, not all that information's in there. All right. It is in there, but it would probably show on the next page because I think it's run off the page. Okay. All right, that's the previewing and printing the contents of the table on page 29, 30, 31. Okay? All right, that gets us up to page 32. I'm going to close the print preview right here. I'm back to my table. Now, starting on page 32 and going on, oh, it's quite a ways up here. So it's going to go on all the way to about page 38, is they're going to have us import or bring in, it's going to have us bring this in from another file. Now I have to go out and find that file and actually hope that I have it. So let's see. Alright, I'm going to have to pause the video for a minute while I go look for that file. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, hello again. I found the data that I was looking for, and if you do care, I thought I saved it here. It's not what I want. Excel file that's called customer data. I had to bring that in, so save link as desktop. It says there that it is there, so customer data. It's the wrong one. Still is the wrong one. Oh, I saved it. Okay. Alrighty. right mouse click, save link as, save it to the desktop. That's what I wanted to do, but didn't do the first time. There it is. So what I want to do is, rather than, I'm going to create the customer table right now, but before we do, rather than creating it from scratch like I did with the book rep table, we've got all the information that's right here. And you'll notice as we look right here that the first column is the customer name. Alright, then we've our customer number, then customer name, street, city, state, postal code, amount paid, current due, returns, and book rep number. And that book rep number is what we're going to use to relate the two tables together. Alright, so since our data is stored in an Excel worksheet, we're going to import it or make a copy of it into our Access database. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm going to try to follow the steps exactly as they're shown in the book on pages 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. Alright, so going back into Access, I'm going to close this table right now. Alright, I don't need to have any tables open, but I'm going to click the external data, and that brings up, this is called the external data ribbon. Alright, so we want to, under external data, we want Excel. Again, I'm on step 2, and it says, where do you want to get that from? Well, I want to get that from the desktop, so I'm letting it know that it's on the desktop. Desktop. Just change that manually then to desktop. And okay. So that's navigating to the location that they tell you to do. It says that file does not exist. Oh, okay, okay. So it's on the desktop, and it is customers .xls dot xlsx. Okay. Well, let's look. I'm on the desktop. There it is. And I want to minimize this. Let's cancel this for right now, and let's take a look and see what this looks like. That's oh, it's customer data. Okay, so that was on me. All right. Excel, browse. We're under the desktop. Let's see if we can find the file directly. There we go, and click open. That's what we wanted. All right, so that's the steps 1 and 2 that you see on figure I-42 and 142 and 143 on page 33. It says with the option button to import the data, new table data selected, and notice I've got it, import the stuff into the existing database. That's what we want. All right. So we can click OK. And now we're asked, they're saying, does this first row that's up here, does it contain column headings? If we unchecked it, it would think that's an actual record, which would be wrong. We want to make sure it stays checked. You don't always want to do that, but that's what we want to do here. Alright, so we can click the next button. Alright, now what it's doing here is it's allowing us, if we want to go in and change the names if we don't, or types if we don't like them, as they're shown up here. Alright, and if you're following along, I'm on page 34 in step 4. It says you can change the name, the data type, and whether the field is indexed. You can also indicate some fields you don't even want to bring over if you don't want to do that. Alright, because these don't need to be specified, it says click the next button. So I'm on the top of page 35. Okay, then it says here in step 6, tap or click the Choose My Own Primary Key option. And under the Q&A underneath that, I'm on the bottom of page 35. In figure 147, it says, how do I decide which option to select? If one of the fields is an appropriate primary key, choose. If you can choose your own from the list, or you can create your own. All right. Because customer number is the correct field, we can just choose it. So it already is chosen there, but if we wanted to change it now, we could. All right, click the next button. Now, we don't want to call this customer data. We only want to call it customer. We want to remove the data and the blank space in between there. So we just want to call it customer. Okay. And we can, I believe, tap or click the finish button. I'm on step 7 on page 36. Now we're asked here in step 8, do we want to save the import steps? If this is something that you'll create or repeat on a regular basis, you might want to do that. So we're going to click the tick mark there, and it's called right now import customer data, and that's fine. But they want us to put in here under the description, import data from customer data workbook. Into customer table. All right. So we're going to click the Save Import, and lo and behold, notice we've got another table in here now. And we didn't have to create this. There it is. I can go and make this a little bigger on each one again. Oops. You get the idea. I could keep going if I wanted to or needed to. All right. On page 37, the author says, the import process has created the customer table. The table has the correct fields and records, but there are some details the process cannot handle, so we need to make a couple changes. So we are told to come in here, right mouse click, and go back into Design View. All right, and I'm on the middle of page 37 in your book. Customer number, short text. Under the notes, they want this to say primary key. Number, under the description, oh wait, I'm sorry, that's customer number. So primary key, description, oh, the caption, they want it to here to say CU. So that's what'll appear there. So rather than having it say customer number, that's what'll appear. All right. Now, all of these that are short text, they're all 255. We don't want those. We want the customer number to be 5. We want the customer name to be 30. That's a first and a last name. We want the street to be 20. We want the city to be 20. We want the state to be 2. We want the postal code to be 5. We want the amount paid should be currency, the current due should be currency, the return should be currency, and the book rep number should be a short text of size 2. This is what we're going to use to link up to the other table that we've already created. Under the description, we want this to say book rep number, and that's number of book rep for customer. All right, and under the caption, we want this to say BR with a number sign, just like we did before. All right, and the author says on the bottom of page 37 that oftentimes you'll need to modify the design of a table created during the import process, because some things may not have just imported over correctly, or maybe it was set up one way in the spreadsheet, you want it set up another way. So they show you how to do everything that I've just shown you on page 38. All right, now before we get into the queries, I'm going to stop the lecture right here, and I'm immediately going to restart it again as part 3.